Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Accelerator. You probably heard that storytelling is a huge part of getting your name out there, getting your brand out there, and being able to convey a message in a way that people can consume it in the most effective way. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to tell your story in order to enhance your personal brand and your business brand in order to grow your business. Brilliant.
First and foremost is you've got to understand the word authenticity. It's the most overused word in the marketplace right now, and nobody's defining it, right? So here's authenticity, my definition of it. Once you understand this, you can start building your story. Authenticity is sharing what you want to geek out with others about. Sales truly in nature is relationships, getting in conversations with people. The easiest way to connect with somebody is to geek out on something. You got a Star Wars shirt on. So we talked a little bit about Star Wars, and then we talked about Harry Potter because I showed my Harry Potter tattoo. And, you know, you started telling me about your daughter and that trip and everything else. That conversation, we for a moment had a commonality to geek out on something. So when you're being authentic in the marketplace, it means you're sharing things that you can geek out on so others can geek out on it with you as well. So you talk about business all the time, building it, selling it, building it, failing it, all of that. When you share like that, people in the marketplace get a chance to geek out with you.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're either going through it, they've been through it. They're like, oh shit, that guy's like me, or that guy's like who I want to be. They can geek out with you. So once you understand what authenticity is, right? Now it's the steps, really easy steps. Step one, what are the things you want to geek out with others on, right? Make a list of all those things you totally want to geek out on. And look, people were like, yeah, but Donnie, being authenticity means you share everything. No, it doesn't. Because in all of the podcasts, I've done 400 podcast interviews. I've been on stages thousands of times. I ask people all the time, what's the name of my wife? And nobody will be able to tell you, right? And the reason being is I don't need to share her story.
Yeah.
Right? She's not part of this entire process. So being authentic doesn't mean you share everything. It means you share what you geek out on. Now, inside of those things you want to geek out on, the magic happens is when you look back on those things and go, okay, what were my biggest fuck ups and failures? What were the things that I absolutely screwed up in that geek out session? And so if you listen to a lot of my stuff, I talk a lot about my early years in sales and how I did some of the dumbest rookie things you ever can think of. Because when I talk about those, let me put one caveat on. Most time when somebody walks up to me and says, I've got 25 years in sales, what they're actually telling me is I've got year one repeated 25 times. They've not actually grown up and evolved in sales, right? And that's not everybody, but it's a lot of people because they're still doing the same shit they did their rookie year.
Yeah.
You know, so I share a lot of those things knowing that that's a lot of people's journey and that's a lot of their path. So hopefully they can recognize that behavior in their life and go, fuck, I'm still doing the same stupid shit.
Yeah.
And can figure it out and grow and evolve from there. So when you recognize inside that geek out stage of this is my fuck ups, this is the things that I've really done bad, stories start forming. And then you go, okay, cool. What was the lesson to learn in that fuck up? That's when the magic comes. See, for me, marketing and advertising is what you say you do. Branding is what everybody else says you do.
For sure.
So you better control the story, right? Because if you're not telling the story that you want to have told in the marketplace, then somebody else is.
Yeah.
So this is all part of getting your story out there. Now it's a matter of, okay, I know what I geeked out on. I know what the stories are now that I need to start telling. Now it's understanding, how do I tell the marketplace? So I love telling people that I've done probably over 400, interviews. And if you go back listening to a lot, we'll put it this way, Chris Rock, right? One of the greatest comedians of all time. Before Chris Rock does an HBO special, do you know how many small comedy clubs and things he does before the HBO special? Any clue?
No clue.
He'll tell you he does between 200 and 400 shows before the HBO special. And why is he doing that? Any ideas?
To test stuff up.
That's it.
Then he knows what jokes work, which doesn't work, which fits audience.
Exactly.
How to stack them together. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Everything's a test. He's figuring it out. So for me, podcast, being a guest, became a place to practice the stories, right? Because now I got really good at watching the host and everything have the reactions. It's like the first time I told the story of my business owner or my business partner telling me, hey, thank God you're my retirement plan. I said it so fast that the host that was interviewing me didn't even catch it, right? So now I've learned, as I'm telling that story, to right before I say the key punchline, to pause and go, and then he said, thank you for being my retirement plan.
I thought I'm the first one you ever told that. I thought we had that kind of connection. God damn it. 300. You had 300 before me, honey?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
but that's the point of this whole thing, man. Step 4, figure out what happens after you tell the story.
Okay.
So what most people get good at is the first beginning portions, right? They're like, amazing. This is what I geek out on, right? This is the stories I can tell. You know, they get all that right. But where they fuck up is, what is the audience supposed to do next, right? How are they supposed to respond? And here's an interesting thing that I've had to learn. People want to be told what to do, right? As you're doing all of this, you're telling your story and sharing, people don't want to think. People don't want to wonder what's the next step is. You have to tell them. So the final piece of that puzzle is, what are you getting them to do? What is that action step they are taking? So this becomes a full circle story. Now they become part of your tribe, your family, your followers, your fans, whatever you want to call them, because you're getting them to take action once they get some sort of learning from your story as a whole.
What is the call to action? What do you tell people to do that will lead them to the next thing in your world, in your journey?
So I'm going to flip it. So being a guest on your show, here's how I finish every podcast interview, right? And this is learned. 2 things I do is I would literally say, guys, I have a gift for you. So one of the things I struggled in my business as I was coming up was creating content. There's guys like Gary Vee that tell you got to create so many pieces of content. I have learned over the years, and I've been teaching over the years, how you create content. And then I go through a quick little story and I tell them what it looks like, and we'll save it for the end for them. And then I give them a number and say, hey, text this message to this text message, and I'll send you that training for free.
Sure.
That's a teaser, guys. I'll give you that stuff later. Right? That's storytelling, right? You give them a cliffhanger.
No, it's not your first time. I thought it was, but now I know it's not. So
sorry, I cheated on you. Right? But you get them something. The second maneuver, so podcasters talk to a lot of people. Sure. I think podcasting is the greatest networking tool on the face of the earth.
Agreed.
Right? Nothing beats it. Agreed. So knowing that, I love to give the podcaster a little love. So I finish every interview with this move. And it's, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I've laughed. This has been fun. Would you do me a favor? If you got any nugget, any value out of this whatsoever, would you go leave him a review? Because, or would you go share this with a friend? Because what people don't understand is sharing this show with somebody else is literally like walking up and giving a virtual hug, right? You're telling them how much you got out of it. That little maneuver at the end of a podcast, I've had so many podcasters go, oh my God, that was brilliant. Nobody's ever done that for me. And I know, because nobody ever did it for me, right?
I'm going to tell you something interesting, because I love it. And I found a way to tweak it and take it even further. And I'm giving you this as a free tip that I'm doing. And So I do a very similar thing, but instead of the text, I said, go to whatever URL under my website, So, and I make it very, very simple, so if I would do your show, it would be, the eTribe /badass. So everybody will remember, right? And the first thing they see, that landing page, before they can put in an email and get the gift or whatever it is that I promised them, there's a video. And the video is saying, if you're here, you obviously enjoyed my conversation with Donnie. What I ask you to do is, first and foremost, go and leave him a review on Apple Podcast. Here's the link. There's a button. Leave a good review to Donnie.